Males of Reddit, how would you feel if a girl approached you and told you that you're handsome and wants to ask you out? Look around for the hidden camera prank show crew. Agreed, nowadays it would be some TikTok prank or something. Like hot chick goes up to ugly guys and makes them think they want him. I'm not shallow. I would have no problem dating a blind girl. Let's just be real here. Most of us would think they were pranking us. Or doing it off a dare. But if it was for real, I think a lot of us would very much like it. I dunno. I think I'm okay looking. Not great or anything. And this still happened to me, or some variation of it, a few times in my 20s. Look. Lady, this isn't the first time I've been approached by a prostitute. I'm not interested. Beat it. Double quote. A couple of years ago, I went to Montana for a family trip. I stayed at a hotel in Billings the night before I flew back. To get food and drink, I went to a local brew pub. I was approached by an attractive lady who seemed rather eager for me to take her back to my hotel. I diplomatically declined, as I was pretty sure she was a hooker. This is every man's dream. But it never happens because it's a dream. It's not real. I'm a woman and it's real. I've done it. I got rejected the first time. Later attempts were a mix of success and rejection. It's pretty fun actually. Even if it's not reciprocated, they've enjoyed the compliment. Makes me feel good to make them feel good. The reason most girls don't is the fear of being rejected. As a girl, this is the main reason, or at least for my friends me. I remember wanting to ask someone out. Another girl asked before me and she got rejected super hard. He broke what she made for him and ripped the card. I think it was a card. Anyway, needless to say, that was enough of a warning to not approach him. I guess it's that feeling knowing that you most likely might be rejected. So I got a hand to you. Boys have a lot more guts than girls. Well, certainly more guts than me. It happens. I've done it. I'm now married to the man I asked out. However, he apparently didn't realize we were dating until our third or fourth date. Nsarosa. I mean, that's how I got my husband. I went over to him and chatted him up. After a few drinks, I asked him if he wanted to come home with me. Blissfully together 8 years now. Guy in front of me in line gets to the counter and I hear the cashier exclaim, "Damn, you are a good looking man." Apostrophe. He smiles at her and says he'll let the wife know. I get up to the counter and say, "Damn, you are a good looking woman." Apostrophe. "I'm married," he says, without looking up. Close his book like that will ever happen. I try and play it cool, but end up vomiting all over her face. I'm not an expert, but I would try and refrain from that second part if I were you. But hey, if she's into it, you do you. I'd keep a close eye on my kidneys. I would say no. Any woman attracted to me is not stable and or blind. Serious. I would go out with a f-king tree if it approached me first. Close bracket. Before I was married, it happened twice. But they were drunk, so it doesn't count. Now, I'd thank her and discreetly point to my wedding ring. I would tell them thank you, but I would need to check with my wife. A few minutes later I would tell them my wife said no. For the first time in my entire life. This actually happened to me last week. Wasn't super attracted to her, but she was nice. We hung out at the bar for a while and talked. Kissed a bit. And I left. Felt pretty damn good. Gained weight and stopped taking care of myself during lockdown. Recently lost 20 pounds. Cut my hair and cleaned up a bit. This is one of the reasons why women don't do this more often, I think. You aren't attracted to her yet you went on an impromptu date and made out lol. Other guys may have slept with her once or even for a time while maintaining the notion of not being that attracted. Related story. I dated someone for 2 years who I had asked out. His friends thought it was creepy and desperate that he had been asked out by the girl. After we broke up, he said that I should just let the guy do the asking from now on, as he would never have asked me out himself and it would have saved us both the time. He then tried to get back with me again. But I said no lol. It's like damn dude. This is a harsh lesson. The worst that'll happen for a guy taking his shot is getting rejected. The worst that'll happen for a girl taking her shot is having 2 years of her life wasted on some kind of pity relationship lol. 2 years. LMAO, even my mom doesn't think I am handsome. Look man. I'm not going to speak for all women because a generalization that big is always going to be wrong, but myself and most of my friends are attracted to men because of their demeanor. The way they present themselves, hairstyle, clothes, nothing genetic, and their personality. Things that are in your control. BTW if your mum is actually calling you ugly. She's in a hole. As someone who actually did have a girl do this, I did not think she was serious at first. After all, she asked me while I was busy cleaning the women's restroom as part of restaurant closing duties. And she did not seem hesitant at all. If memory serves. Just raised several yellow flags after having spent high school having to avoid these kinds of pranks from actual bullies. I'm 90% sure it wasn't now. Got teased about it from other co-workers, including her friends and sister. But even so, she was 17. I was 20. So in the best of circumstances, it wasn't happening until she graduated. I'm actually kind of glad it didn't happen. We're incompatible in a lot of things, based on her social media, so it doesn't feel like the one that got away. I'd respect them for doing the first move and not sitting on gender stereotypes where it always has to be the guy. Virginity shield activated. One time a girl was fairly aggressive and pursuing me, and it was a complete turn off when she asked me out. She was pretty and my friends thought I was crazy for turning her down. Another time the girl and I became friends through a class and she asked me on a formal date. I went from oblivious of how pretty and smart she is to dating her for more than a year. I would wait for the alarm clock to go off. I'd be flattered. But then I'd have to decline on the grounds that I am gay. Although if it was just a platonic one hangout sort of thing, then hell yeah girl. HMU. This is how I met girls in high school and college. For the longest time I had no confidence, and then one day I was like these chicks keep approaching me. Maybe I should try approaching them and see what happens. Women consistently approaching me was a true confidence builder. Let me tell ya. I've been asked out a fair few times. The only times I've said no are if the girl wasn't my type or if she seemed a bit mental. Otherwise it's great. I've been fake asked out numerous times, so probably my anxiety would flare up and I would either crumble or say I'm not ready. For the guys saying they wouldn't trust this and any women reading this too nervous or weirded out to do it, I offer this advice. Is IT going to kill you? What's the worst that happens? They say no thanks. Question mark? You shrug. You move on. For either sex, just go talk to the person you think is cute. You never know. You might wind up with a one night stand that turned into a blissfully happy marriage like I did. Close bracket. I dated someone for 2 years who I had asked out. His friends thought it was creepy and desperate that he had been asked out by the girl. After we broke up, he said that I should just let the guy do the asking from now on, as he would never have asked me out himself and it would have saved us both the time and heartbreak. He then tried to get back with me again, but I said no lol. It's like damn dude. This is a harsh lesson. The worst that'll happen for a guy taking his shot is getting rejected. The worst that'll happen for a girl taking her shot is having 2 years of her life wasted on a pity relationship, I guess. 2 years. Actually, that's kind of how me and my girlfriend met. I'm a reclusive types, and one day, while I'm waiting for my friend to finish class for the day, a girl I didn't quite know too well shoved a piece of paper in my hand and walked off. Baffled as I was, I decided to text the number when I got service after racing my friend cross country on our dirt bikes. Say hi and ask if it was the same person who gave me the paper. It was. We hung out a bit and she asked me out. Going 2 months strong now. Ask if they have the right person. If they do, Then complete steps 1 through 3. 1. Evaluate. 2. Look through history to remember all encounters with her. 3. Look for signs that she was dared to do this. If all steps answer positively, then proceed to steps 4 through 6. 4. Set up a date. 5. Figure out more about her. 6. If have consent, get IT. If those steps answer positively, then realize you have wasted 30 seconds of your time listening to a guy who has no idea about romance. Actually happened to me. Was very nervous that it'd be a prank like in middle school. Even though I've put on a lot of muscle, I still have the mind of the ugly and fat kid. She is very sweet and precisely my type and is somehow even more nerdy than me. I'm flattered. But you can do better. Double quote. Even if someone was perverted enough to find me physically attractive, the interior is in even worse shape. Look behind my shoulder and say, "Are you talking to me? Really?" Double quote. I look like a crack addict right now. I would go to the nearest hospital and get myself a CAT scan because I'm obviously having a stroke. I would immediately assume she has some kind of angle and wants something from me. I guess that's what a lifetime of experience not being asked out will do it. It happened to me. She asked me to go out. I didn't find her particularly attractive, but because she had the courage to ask me, so I said yes. We end up staying together for a few months. All jokes aside, I'd deflect for a minute, and then if she showed that she was 100% serious, I would go on a date with her purely because she shot her shot. It happens so rarely that I would give that person a shot 9 times out of 10. I've been asked out a few times and I have never had a good experience with it. All the girls who have asked me out ended up being batshit crazy and I was never warned. Nobody asked them out. Small town, because they were fairly well known for being toxic as fuck. I imagine in a larger city I'd be less concerned. But in a small town, if they're asking me out, they're probably desperate and I'll avoid that, thanks. I would ask how long they've had those kinds of feelings for me. Then, no matter their answer, tell them to get lost because I am currently in a long distance relationship. I experienced something similar, except she said she loved my dancing and later asked me to join her at a different bar. As she was leaving, I got her number and gotta say, I thought she was taking the piss. Cause I'm no dancer. She assured me it wasn't the case. I just looked like I had fun. Hell of a confidence boost. If it's a girl I know, I'd likely say yes. If I don't know her, then I'd probably ask to go to a coffee shop because that keeps it short and public in case things go badly. I'd be a bit nervous tbh, and my first action would be to look around for a camera or her friends laughing. If everything checks and it ain't a prank, I'd proceed to ask her what the FCK is wrong with her. I could be a serial killer? Or is she a serial killer? Which by then she would look at me in confusing disgust and my chances with her are over. This never happens, because it's expected of men to make the first move. And women don't do it because they are not used to endless rejection and can't deal with it the same as men. A man's self-esteem will be battered and abused his whole life because of this. A woman almost never has to go through it. I'd be flattered, but have to decline. I'm a married man, and not one to FCK around. Too many nasty DCK shriveling things to catch out there. Also not really a likely event for this particular old, bald, bespectacled, Ned Ryerson looking asshole. Actually happened to me in middle school. Didn't believe her. Told her so. And walked away. So I'd probably do something other than that. Had something like this happen recently. It was an online thing and we haven't met yet, but she started saying she loved me like 5 or 6 times the last time we spoke on the phone. I went from flattered to creeped out quick. I would just be confused as hell. Girls don't usually show interest in me. Not trying to sound like an incel, but they see me as a cute little kitten, little brother, annoying little shitty as opposed to a love interest. Could also be the fact that I'm gay as hell, but I know most people respond with the standard low self-esteem it must be a joke thing. But if you're looking for a serious answer, I would probably go on the date. I'm typically willing to give someone a shot unless there's some red flag or something about them I already know will be a deal breaker. But if it's a stranger, is probably say yes and at least go on one date. Would end the internal crisis I fight with when it comes to women. I'm too shy to even say hello, with the intent of having a conversation. However, if she were to start it, I'd calm down and be into the convo. The sheer iron tits of such a woman, metaphorical iron tits. I dunno. Whatever balls of steel for women is, would drastically open up my usual high standards. That's actually how I ended up in a relationship with my most recent ex. She's a fantastic person. But there was also a lot of emotional trauma from her family she had to work through, and it just wasn't the right time or place for a relationship, unfortunately. She did put those iron tits to work improving her situation and her life by cutting her horribly toxic family out and moving out on her own though. And recently even sought therapy. She's physically only kind of my type. But goddamn if seeing a woman who has the will to do what must be done isn't the hottest thing. Firstly, look. I would try to sense any kind of immediate danger in a 360-degree radius. Secondly, I would ask if it's a legit question. After that, I'd rattle off some broad interests. If we match on any of them, I'll invite to cook for her. I can make a great seafood gumbo. Most pasta dishes. Chicken fried rice. Damn it, OP, you just made me feel and then made me remember how lonely I am. Well, honestly, the past me would have been, and was, absolutely thrilled. However, the only times I ever had that happen to me was with women who basically just needed to be in a relationship in order to function or feel any sort of self-worth. So in the end, it wasn't really about me. It was about me just being a placeholder until they found somebody else, and their interest was more in just having a boyfriend for themselves, no matter who it was. The last one also, I think, needed to be in a relationship because she needed somebody to deal with her mental health issues for her. That relationship f'd up my life in a big way. So as much as I think that women should be able to ask men out more often, and definitely should, I know several couples where it worked out well. For me, it would be kind of an unconscious red flag because of what I've been through personally. How attractive is she? Just like when the genders are reversed, the reaction is going to depend on attraction. This assumes that I know nothing else about her to base the opinion. I would likely be a bit suspicious if she was very attractive and we had no prior interaction. Even more so if the setting was not a place where this sort of interaction is expected or typical, bar versus work meeting for example. It would depend on how long I knew said person. I'm not all that big on immediately asking someone out just BC they look good. If I knew them for a while, I'd at least know them well enough to know if it's a joke or if it might work out. I'm not saying I'm a saint and don't care about looks. But looks won't be my focus is what I'm saying. I'm not a male. But I have done this a few times. Just walk up and say, hey, you're really attractive. Would you mind if I gave you my number? That way they don't feel obligated to give me theirs if they aren't comfortable. Take note on that, boys, and if they are interested they can reach out to me. I've never had any backlash from that approach, and at the very least, giving a compliant is always nice even if they aren't interested in the number. If she was someone I at least kind of knew, I'd be happy and would agree to go out. If she's a stranger I'd agree to go out, but I'd be suspicious the whole time that she wants to drug me and steal my kidney. I was smoking a joint years ago with a female friend. She said, we're friends, right? And I said yes, of course. And she said, how about we're friends that have sex too? Closest I've gotten to question. I'd say no. I won't go out with a girl whose standards are so low that she would go out with me. This happened to me in college. Sort of. There was a Checkers burger place near where I went to school. My friends and I walk up to order. And while we're waiting for food, one of the workers tells me that her manager thinks I'm handsome, hot something, and wants to know if I'm single. I wasn't and said so. It was flattering and a bit embarrassing because I didn't know how to react. 6 months later or so. I'm back there and she has another employee ask the same thing. I was single but interested in someone and got out of there. Less flattering and more weird the second time around. The lady never even let me see her, let alone meet her. Hard to say. I'd imagine it'd be similar to if a girl was approached by a guy they liked or didn't like. Could be anything from total disinterest, ambivalence, or being very willing and happy to have feelings reciprocated. Depends on what kind of situation it is. Really.